morning to you, Barbara.
Good morning, Asma.
Silvio Berlusconi, is it unfair that for many people in this country, he will not be remembered as, he'll be remembered for many things, but not necessarily as a serious politician? Is that fair?
I suppose it is fair. I think I find the timing particularly interesting. I have to say, because it only happened 10 minutes ago, I'm still looking through the Italian newspapers and the news is just coming through now. And I think, divisive a figure though he absolutely is, I think it is going to be a big shock for Italy. Remember that Silvio Berlusconi and his party are a part of the coalition, the governing coalition now. So it is going to have political ramifications. I think if you want to look at it from a British point of view and considering everything that we've seen happen over the past few days, both in the UK with Boris Johnson and in the United States with Donald Trump, I mean, in many ways, you could say that Silvio Berlusconi was sort of writing the script for that nearly 20 years ago. He became a politician in the 90s, very much a populist, whatever you want to make of that term. Obviously, someone that's had many brushes with the law, both when it comes to corruption, and you'll remember the Bunga Bunga parties and the
I
allegations
do,
there.
yes.
Who could ever forget that? But I think the thing that strikes me the most, especially having witnessed what's happened in the UK over the past few days, is that, remember, he was the one that would accuse, and still did, the courts of being against him and the system of being against him, and basically the democratic institutions of being against him. And that is something that perhaps we have seen echoes of. So no, I don't think it's unfair for a British public to see it that way.
And what do we know about his health problems? This is someone who liked to look. He was concerned about his appearance. He had some, I think, work on his face, didn't he? He had some plastic surgery done on his face. He wanted to look younger. But what about his internal health?
Well, it's not the first time that he was in hospital over the past few months. He was at the San Raffaele Hospital in Milan. He'd been there before several times over the past few months. Very often, the press had been told that it was just for routine examinations. But obviously, he was a man aged 86. He may have, through surgery or tanning or work on his hair, tried to look a bit younger. But obviously, his age was there, and you could tell that he just wasn't the political force he used to be. But remember that he is his party. So we often speak about, how Trump, for example, has sort of, taken over much of the Republican Party, but Forza Italia, Berlusconi's party very much is him. So there's no clear succession, which in turn will have an impact on the governing coalition. But listen, it will be a shock for Italy. And again, it's been very interesting looking at the events of the past few days through the lens of Silvio Berlusconi. And, curiously, there was a play in London not that long ago, actually about Berlusconi and his, brushes with the law in London, which was interesting considering.
Yes, absolutely. Barbara, thank you so much for that. That's Barbara Serra, British-Italian broadcaster.
Tom Kington is here, I think, from Rome. Morning, Tom.
Good morning. Hello.
A bit of Berlusconi there and how he sort of talks about modern issues like the war in Ukraine, where he was sort of anti-Zelensky. What sort of political figure was he by the end?
Well, in respect to his views on Ukraine, he was a bit of an embarrassment to Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni. He was a member of her coalition. His party, Forza Italia, was a junior partner in her coalition. So as Meloni was fighting to support Zelensky and stay very much on the side of Europe and the US when it came to backing Ukraine against Russia, you had one of her junior partners, Berlusconi, saying that basically he thought that Zelensky was unreliable. And we all know that Silvio Berlusconi was a very old friend of Vladimir Putin. So, yeah, it was a bit of a blip in Berlusconi's record there at the end.
And what's the feeling now? It's only just happened. This news only came out in the last 20 minutes or so. What's the feel of it? What sort of figure will he be seen as? I think he's the longest serving post-war prime minister in Italy, a massive figure, but massively controversial, colourful, ridiculous. What do you think the assessments will start to come out in Italy?
Well, I think that Italy is very good at respecting the deceased, and so there will be lots of accolades, lots of respectful reports. As you said, longest-serving post-war prime minister. He sort of broke the mold of short-lived Italian governments, and he sort of strode the world stage, befriending also. I think also alarming lots of other world leaders. I think that what we need to consider is how, I think the previous guest has said, is that he kind of set the trend for later populist leaders. I mean, perhaps there would have been no Donald Trump without Silvio Berlusconi, and the idea of a sort of tycoon going into politics. Not worrying about conflicts of interest, thinking that he could settle everything with his charm and his clout and his charisma. So as the world looks on and considers Berlusconi as a figure of fun and a bit of a buffoon after all these years, I think there also needs to be a bit of reflection on how the world then moved to kind of imitate and copy the standard he set.